Hi, Mike Salemi here, and I'm hanging out with my good friend Doug from Rise Above Performance Training. Today, Doug and I were just discussing about a recent kettlebell competition we both entered and kind of our journeys over the years in terms of difficulties and challenges we've had in getting in the overhead position. So what I wanted to cover today is one key technique that I use before every single training and even later in the evening, and it's called the thoracic spine mobilization. Now, why the thoracic spine when we're talking about shoulder overhead range of motion? Well, one of the key points to note about the thoracic spine, which is the mid-back region, is when the arm goes into shoulder flexion, this is called shoulder flexion, this is shoulder extension. Once the arm goes beyond about 140 degrees, which is roughly around this area, what should assist the arm getting overhead is in fact extension of the thoracic spine. Now, due to any number of factors, whether it's sports-related issues, for example, being in the rack position for too long in kettlebell sport, if you're a boxer and you're kind of in your classic protection position, getting ready to throw a punch, or if you're a cyclist and you're curved over the bike, staying in these positions too long can in fact lead to a person getting stuck into a position of flexion. And that also could come from just simply sitting in front of a computer all day or just sitting on the couch or driving. So any number of factors, whether it's sport-related injury or a lifestyle component, can lead you into this excessive rounding or excessive kyphotic position. One of the things that we want to do is we want to ensure that the thoracic spine has enough flexibility and mobility to open up so that way the shoulder doesn't take the brunt of getting into the overhead position. If the shoulder gets too much work in that position or is working too hard, you tend to see two problems. One is a rotator cuff pathology, or two is an impingement syndrome. Now, an impingement syndrome simply means when the humerus bangs into the top of the acromion. It's almost like you run into something, like you hit a wall. Both situations are things we want to avoid. So let's get right into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to demo one repetition, and then I'm going to cue and take Doug through the whole sequence. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a 4-inch foam roller. Now you can see there's a hard PVC in the center. This PVC serves really two purposes. One, to add and increase rigidity into the foam roller, and two, it's just going to simply increase the life of this roller compared to a strictly foam, 100% foam roller through and through. So we're going to set it down, and we're just going to mobilize today the mid-thoracic region. So where I'm going to start positioning the foam roller is roughly around the very base of the scapula. So I'm going to find that position, and I've got it right there. Now, when you're mobilizing, it's really important that you only want to address and pinpoint the mobilization to an area of restriction. We don't want to mobilize an area that's already moving well and already opened up. So I'm just going to find, okay, that's a really good spot for me. Hand position for this exercise or for this mode is I'm going to grab behind the neck. You don't want to grab the head. You can easily kind of tweak the back of the neck from this position. Make sure my head is in neutral. My tongue's going to be on the roof of the mouth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the elbows together. Now when I pull the elbows together, that moves the scapula out of the way and exposes the spine itself. And that's what we want to address here. So I'm going to put my hands behind my neck. I'm going to pull my elbows together. Head's neutral. And I'm going to use my breath to gently get into the mobilization. I'm going to inhale as I back bend over the roller. I'm going to hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, trying to relax over this roller. And then I'm going to exhale and come up back to the start position. Inhale, go over. Exhale, return. And then to come off, I just roll and I stand up. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take Doug right into the mobilization. But before we do that, let's have Doug just do a basic check standing side. Doug, both arms straight, double thumbs up position. Go ahead and just reach your arms overhead. Let's see roughly where you're at. Okay.
Right about there.
Right about there is your natural restriction. Cool. And can you turn to the other side too? I'll have you take a full step back here. There you go, right there. Perfect. So this is roughly where Doug is. Now, Doug does do quite a bit of preparation for training. But right now, I told Doug, I asked him not to do any extensive warm-up or anything before we kind of get into this, so we can get a little bit more of an objective measure of the pre and post. So now, Doug, what I want you to do is if you can just lay down long way on the foam roller, sitting at the end. Perfect. Now with 3 points of contact, head, mid-back, and tailbone, all remaining in the same position without moving whatsoever, I want you to go arms straight, double thumbs up position. And let's see if you can reach your arms back over your head and see how far you can get them down to the ground naturally. There you go, you can go a little faster. See, that's about right. Okay, so we've got maybe 3 or so inches thumbs off the ground. So this is just a quick check. You can check standing or you can check on the foam roller. So now, Doug, can you hop up? Perfect. Let's have you lay down. Foam roller in line with the scapula, or the base of the scapula. Okay, hands behind the neck. Perfect. Let's pull the elbows together. And notice Doug's position of the lower body here. As he back bends over, I don't want to see a big increase in curvature here, because I want the mobilization to really focus on the T-spine. So Doug, I want you to inhale over the roller. Hold for 3 to 5. And exhale as you return to the start. Let's do 3 breaths at that segment. Now, as Doug's doing this, one of the things you can remember is he's not taking a full inhale, probably inhaling about 2/3 of a full breath. Reason being, if you inhale too much, you tend to activate the spinal extensors, which can kind of prevent the mobilization from getting as deep as you can go. Now, after you've done 3 reps, one thing you can do is you can kind of scoot up, maybe about a little less than an inch or so, scoot up or scoot down. Find another vertebra or another point of restriction. Again, if it's not restricted, you don't need to mobilize it. And we'll do the same thing. Inhaling over, relaxing for 3 to 5, and then coming right back up to the start position. We're going to do one more. By using the breath to assist this motion, on an inhalation, that excites the extensors of the body, so you're working the mobilization with the breath. If you're really rigid, you might find it's easier to exhale on the way down. That's okay, but just know as you get better at this, you want to inhale over the foam roller. That's perfect, Doug. Okay, so now while Doug's down, I want to have him go back to this little check here. Now, when you're checking yourself or you're checking someone that you're working with, you want to, just like on the mobilization, you want to make sure that there's no compensation happening anywhere else. So you just want to make sure that the tailbone's down, the rib cages don't pop up, and that the head stays on the roller. So let's go ahead and just reach your arms back up and over, and let's see how far you can get now. So Doug's able to now get both thumbs on the ground, which is actually a very good indication. This is kind of the standard that I'm looking for. Okay, excellent, Doug. Let's have you stand up. Perfect. Now let's just do a check again. Reaching the arms overhead. You can step back here a little bit. Perfect. Go ahead and reach them up. Very nice. And let's turn around. Excellent. So we definitely got a little bit more range of motion. You can see if you look forward, arms up, there is just a little bit of asymmetry between left and right, so that you can tell there's probably a soft tissue component. Thanks, Doug. But we definitely got some increased range of motion. If you're someone who is locked into this flexion position due to any number of factors, once again, and this does not work for you, or after about 2 weeks or so, you should notice a change pretty much immediately. But if after 2 weeks you're not really getting any big changes, that might be the time that you want to go see a manual therapist or someone who can help you mobilize the spine a little bit better. You might need some more soft tissue work, but I hope you enjoy that. And The prescription that I tend to use is pick one segment, 3 repetitions at each segment for about 1 to 3 segments up or down, depending on where you feel the restriction. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you incorporate it into your programs.